Sam, before you got on, we covered what's more important, gay people or the U.S. military. He talked about pooping in the shower when you have to stomp it through the drain. So I just wanted to bring you up to speed on the couple issues we covered before you joined.
Okay.
Anyway, let's turn on the radio. Let's get rid of that talk. No.
How's it going?
Hi, Sam. Hi.
Good day.
We've got our friend Ryan between us. On the.
That's only relative to yours. You're actually in the middle on my screen.
I love that for me. I love.
Yeah, you're in the middle on my screen too.
Perfect. A little Daniel sandwich. Yep. So we have Ryan with us. I almost said the wrong Ryan. There are many Ryans. There are a lot of Ryan photographers.
Yeah, have you ever felt weird about that? Using
that actually came up for Sam and I the other day because I went with Sam and his friend to the aquarium, and he was like, "This is my friend Ryan." He's like, "Oh, the amazing photographer friend Ryan that you're always talking about." And Sam immediately was like, "No, that's Ryan Brenizer." So it was like the most beautiful introduction I had ever had meeting someone.
Yeah,
the friend was like, "Oh, I must know you. Sam always says such nice things." And then Sam jumped in to be like, "Oh my God, no, complete wrong one."
He was probably, there are many Ryan photographers that I know, so I'm sure they just all ran together in his brain. He's a friend I don't see but once a year, maybe twice. It's all good.
Well, that's currently my experience with Ryan Muirhead. I also only see him once or twice a year so far. Short year, but we've already got 2 in there. 2 different seeings. So that's very exciting. Ryan, do you want to talk about your journey with photography? You don't.
Absolutely not.
See, yeah, he does a lot of podcasts, so he doesn't want to share the same answers over and over.
Yeah, we don't.
We're going to have to do some more.
Did you just do some photography? A little sesh?
I did just take a few photos of my friend, and I was trying to use that little external light that you had me buy to mix it up a little bit.
What is that light for everyone? Do you know the name?
Oh my goodness, no. You're the one that told me.
It's called the Bowling P Vlogger LED RGB light.
The P Vlogger?
Put that into, it's such a bad name. Put that in.
That sounds like a urologist that runs a successful TikTok channel. I'm a P Vlogger.
The brand is Bowling, Boling, and then it's called a P Vlogger LED RGB video light, and it's got so it does every color you need in the entire spectrum of colors, with intensity and brightness and saturation settings. The thing about it is it does seem to have a really nice quality of light. Like there's a little bit of diffusion built on top of the array of LED lights, and it's just, this is totally subjective, but it's not a very large light, and you would think it's probably not going to be very flattering, with really, really crisp harsh shadows, but it's not. It's very, very great on skin as well.
This is the second time you've brought this light up, because you brought that up in the $200 or less episode where Sam had to spend my Christmas bonus.
Oh, I forgot about that one. That was a great episode.
Oh, fun.
But that light is the first of its kind that I found randomly through, I think, January 2020, something like that. And now there are a million clones and variants and varieties. I think Godox actually just launched one themselves. That's about the same price point. They're all averaging around $100. So anybody out there that wants just like a nice slides in your pocket, more than enough light to like a lot of photographers get freaked out about shooting in low light or at dark at night. And it's so much easier to use a continuous light than a flash. And you really don't need much power at all. I had a friend that used to do light painting with little keychain lights. Like you really don't need much as long as you're not fighting, a big bright street light or car headlights or something like that. If you're just in a general pretty dark area, or even at blue hour, those lights are more than enough to get away with it. It's great. And then continuous light also makes it much more pleasant for your clients to not have even at its weakest power, like most strobes are way too bright and they're going to leave spots in your eyes at night.
Client? What's that?
Yeah.
So to bring it back to Ryan and money,
No, that Blue Hour has been my favorite stuff I've done with it. I had the idea. I found this tree that kind of looked like it was like veins of a heart or something. And I waited till Blue Hour so it would look like medical blue with all these veins. And then I set the light to red. And I did some red light portraits with Blue Hour background. And that's some of my favorite stuff I've done with the light.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll try and pull it up real fast on the video recording here by sharing my screen and entire screen. Here we go. Share. Whoa.
I wonder what this is going to do. Oh,
whoa.
No.
There we go.
There we went.
Yeah, that is one of them. I did another one with just the two people that I thought was probably an even better shot. But yes, it was the same setup. Yeah,
That's cool.
Great point.
You did one also of Chloe, I recall. But yeah, that's the idea. It's just a one-off, simple. If you're a videographer, by the way, it does have pretty cool modes for simulating like lightning. So it'll just do random bursts.
Police cars,
yeah. Stuff like that.
Glowing laptop screen or whatever. I will say that selecting between the different colors isn't very fluid. You kind of have to just slowly scroll through all the colors. And I saw that Govee launched one where you can just bring up the color wheel and tap it on your phone with an app and it automatically sets the light to that.
That sounds problematic to me.
I'll wait for the I Am the Sam review of that.
I don't like anything app-oriented. I want either a hardware remote control. I don't want anything I have to keep track of, lose, or be charged all the time. And it's
including your phone, because
my phone is always
perpetually
not charged.
dead. Yeah,
sorry.
It's all right. That's fine.
Okay, battery check. What is everybody's phone battery life at? This is a riveting podcast.
95%.
I'm at 26.
55. Mama bear, Papa bear, baby bear. Look at that.
Podcast over. I won the podcast.
Congratulations.
Tell me what he's won.
Well, it's about time you won something around here.
Brutal.
Just saying, you didn't win at Avalon. Can we share for the listeners, Ryan, a quick breakdown of one of the greatest games ever made?
No, we can't. Ryan will talk about this for like an hour and a half.
Well, it's important people know.
Photos. No, it's
just
not.
Really quickly. It's called Avalon. It's a secret identity game. It's the best chance you can get to get couples together and see how capable they are of convincingly lying to each other. So in that, just that aspect alone, it makes it really, really beautiful and damaging.
A lot of yelling, a lot
of yelling,
a little lying.
If you've ever had friends you wanted to yell at in a real fun environment,
I think, yeah,
and with, right.
Yell at and with, it's the game for you.
Full of love.
There, I kept it concise.
It's pretty hilarious. Every time I take a bathroom break, which was a lot because I drank like 2 liters of water, I would just hear the laughter from downstairs and be like, you know what? That's a fun game. Listen to all those laughs. This wouldn't happen with Monopoly.
No.
It absolutely would. I love Monopoly.
I haven't played it in a
No one
while.
plays Monopoly with me anymore because I am that guy at Monopoly. I'm like a pain in the ass. I'm like trying
good
to
at
win
rolling
the
the dice.
Yeah, you just you pay attention, you buy things, you do trades. You can get really into Monopoly. Listen.
Now who's worried they're going to talk about a game for a long time?
Well, you said you didn't want to talk about photos. Can you give me that same length? That was like 5 sentences on Avalon. Can you give me a 5-sentence background, Ryan? I only want 5.
Not everyone knows who you are. How I got into photography?
Yeah, not everyone knows who you are. Get a 5-minute introduction background, 5 seconds, 5 whatever sentences. I'm going to count for you.
I was very depressed and working on film sets. A friend who thought it would be a good idea for me to have an artistic outlet told me I should take photos because DSLRs are so freaking easy. You just set it to the green box and point it at something and you're going to get something decently good looking almost automatically. 3, it really worked. The idea of communicating something via an artistic medium that I was having trouble expressing for myself became almost immediately addictive. I then wanted to use it to work on all the stuff I was messed up about, mainly because of religion and Mormonism. So sexuality, bodies, communication, identity. And then 5, I got popular on Facebook with it and got so bothered by the reactions that I was getting that I got involved in a very intense journey to make sure that what the photos felt like was both correct and important to me and relevant.
That was
The
great.
end.
That was a great 5 sentences.
That was.
That's what
I always
happened.
forget about your Facebook fame. That page was crazy. It's like 400,000 people.
Yeah, when it worked, it was enormous. I'd have photos with thousands and of shares and stuff, like reposted on thousands of other pages. When it worked, it was enormous. And weirdly, it got to that point without me really trying. You know, like I wasn't trying to attract clients and I wasn't trying to build a thing, and I wasn't working towards like any kind of goal. I was just obsessed with shooting and
you
uploading
trying
stuff at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it was a sad thing to watch fade in terms of because that was similarly for me the start of my ability to reach wide audiences. Aside from my website and blog, it was my Facebook business page. The whole thing crumbled when they acquired Instagram and started to kill business pages in favor of Instagram.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't know if either of you have the Facebook app, but when I'm logged in as my business page, the feed, there's like a separate feed now. I don't follow many people at all, but they have a recommended follow list, and they are really tuning that algorithm really well. I'm finding myself scrolling a lot more than I ever have before on Facebook. Like, oh, this is an interesting thing.
I hate that for you.
Yeah, with pages that I don't follow. Like they are like surfacing this automatically, which means that they're doing that for everybody else too. So it's, just something to keep an eye on in terms of not ignoring it completely. See if you post something randomly. When was the last time you actually posted to Facebook?
Well, I have a friend who linked my Instagram page to my Facebook business page so that you said okay like you didn't realize it was you.
I didn't.
While we were in Italy, you were like, give me your phone. Has there been an attack? Has there been a canine intervention?
I edit those out.
Oh, I thought like the dog wars had started and we were about to see
Now I
Daniel
won't edit it
consumed
out.
by his
This is
own
funny.
pets.
Pesty pets.
When we were in Italy, you were like, give me your phone. I'm pushing all your Instagram posts to your Facebook business page. So now I am using it. But the thing I forget, I log on to Facebook like once a week and I have all these notifications and I go to the notification and it's like, amazing, where is this? But I can't see the thing it's referencing because it just pushed from Instagram. So I have like hundreds of comments responding to stuff that I then can't respond to.
Yeah, that's not fun. But yeah, it looks like your reach is not so bad. This is like pretty freaking
Oh,
okay.
you're checking my page right now?
Yes. I mean, post has 381 likes, 300, 400.
Okay, 300 out of how many people follow it?
I know. But that's not nothing.
Back in the day, it was like close to 400,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Not per post. 400,000 people.
No, like people following it. But I mean, I'd have posts with 10, 12,000 likes and thousands of shares. And
they basically just like 1%ed everything. It seems like you probably
the
reach
1%. I've always been hearing about them. It's an honor to finally be a part of it.
Can I just say I've been watching a show called Working that's produced, I guess, or somehow, but Obama narrates. I think he's also a producer. And it's such a good show. I know this is a totally different random topic, but I don't usually find shows that I like.
It's
that
really
I want to
great
talk about.
for Obama to do a show about working and how people work. If only there was something that could have been done to improve American workers' working conditions.
Oh, snap.
It's true. But it is nice to see the ex-president, go through and, buddy up with the hotel cleaners and, the people at the bottom of the everything.
You know what's wild? The first episode is him of with an Uber driver, right?
No, I don't think so.
There's an Uber driver
It's
episode? Is it a delivery
I believe
episode?
it gets to
Yeah.
that. Yes, yeah, there is a gig economy type episode, but they start with the hotel workers, essentially. Yeah.
It's really,
I haven't seen
you know,
every episode, but
It's
just
fun
nice to hear his
because a
voice.
bunch of Obama administrator people left the White House and went directly to Silicon Valley to work for
Of course.
Uber to push through the gig economy. Ha!
yeah, that's what happens.
What a win! I love that for us.
So back to photography. When you finish a shoot, Ryan, do you ever have a sense of, ooh, I can't wait to get that back. I know what I got, or is that more of a, I'm glad I took this photo. This is amazing. When you get it like developed, have you forgotten? Did things flow through you, or is it an excitement when you're done?
You know, it really depends on the level of the shoot and who I'm working with. Because in some of the best stuff I've made, it's been with people I worked with over and over and over, and really got to the point of like, don't have to explain yourself, don't have to get used to how the other person communicates, you know, like have been through a lot and made stuff together and are so familiar with the working space that there's so much more freedom to, because I think we use so much time, so much percent of our energy just like managing. Was I clear about that? Did I sound weird? Am I, you know, just all the like upkeep you have to do of seeming like a normal human being, that when I've been able to work with people where we've really made so much together that you can drop a lot of that, that's led to a lot more just like flow state shooting, where I'll have way more of a like, oh, whoa, like I can't even remember some of the stuff we shot. But on a more just like meet someone, you know, try to make something professional and respectful and, you know, communicate well and just get through a shoot well. I more or less know what I got, kind of what I've been doing to mix that up a little bit. For 5 or 6 years, I was so meticulous about my metering. One, because it's on film and you really need to know what you're doing because you have a lot less leeway once you're done shooting. But two, I wanted to really understand how the different film types worked and how they responded to different types of light. And I got really, really good at that. And now I've been shooting way more off the cuff with my metering. Like just kind of setting it to something close and going. Unless, you know, it's some shot I really feel like, oh wow, this is particularly amazing. I want to really dial in a good negative here so I know I have this. But when it's just more like afternoon with friends stuff now, I'm all over the place with my metering just to see if it surprises me with a different look or feel or add something to it I didn't think was going to be there.
Do you remember the last time you got something developed and you're like, oh, I totally messed this up and I was hoping I got it right, and it wasn't like a happy accident, it was just like, damn it, it's all dark?
So interestingly enough, kind of on the photo you showed from Blue Hour, because in my head I had this, I want it to be like 15 minutes before the light's gone, you know, like late twilight, but still with light in the sky. And then I want to add just enough of this light to be decently well exposed. Like I'm fine with everything looking like it's fading, but when I got these back and really like opened up the files, you know, it's like crazy grainy and underexposed. And I had the just, I still think it's a nice photo, and especially on like Instagram or Facebook reads well, but I had the sense from me like printing it or technically like, oh, I wanted another stop or stop and a half of detail in them. So the whole roll was like that too. And then I edited it and made it work into something that I was proud to share. But I thought like, oh, I thought I had kind of dialed that into what I wanted. But again, I'm brand new to working with like artificial light and how the film's going to respond to that and what it's adding versus what it's metering. Plus I was shooting red light, you know, which is at the end of a spectrum and almost impossible to focus pure red light. So there were variables I wasn't very familiar with, and I ended up disappointed that I hadn't added another stop of exposure to the whole roll.
One of my favorite things to do with black and white images is actually shoot people in red light. It's very forgiving it's just very, very flattering on skin under red light. It's interesting.
When you took a when you started, you were shooting digital on film sets. When did you switch to film?
So my first camera was a Canon 10D, kit lens 10D. And then I, quickly ramped up to the 5D and the 3 zooms, like the standard trajectory.
Yeah.
And then I went back to college because I liked photography so much, and I really felt there was this kind of like lack of base. Man, it's hard to think back that long and know why you do it. I had the instinct that I wanted to go to college I wanted a degree in photography. And in that, I went to a school whose intro classes had still retained the darkroom, which almost everybody had started to abandon. But the head of the program was like a 4x5 film photographer, and he pushed for like, I still think this is important. And so I had to do some intro classes with a darkroom, and it really coincided with how I said in my 5 introduction steps that I really wanted to get the way I shot to feel more personal to me, to feel more relevant to the things I was trying to make. And I have so much anxiety, and I hate approaching strangers, and I really want to make something with people, but I was consumed with the anxiety of that it wouldn't be good enough to be worth their time. And I had grown to really hate having a screen on the back of my camera, to know what I was working on and thinking of. And then, eventually you go to take a photo and then someone will be like, oh, let me see. And my reaction was, I hate this. It's not good yet. It's not what I wanted it to be. And in doing my first few shoots for the film class, not that my work was any better because I was shooting on film. It was the exact same. But the disconnect of getting through a whole shoot where you never had to review the work was an immediately really positive headspace for me. I noticed really quickly how much calmer I was shooting when no one could see it.
Yeah.
And then that just kind of snowballed into loving the whole process.
That's interesting. I wonder if it's a student thing. I don't know, or maybe it's just something in the energy I put out. I can't remember the last time I got asked to, can I see the photo? And it is always surprising when somebody does ask. I usually have a pocket excuse for that. I say, no, it's not ready, and it'll spoil the surprise. And then move on.
Yeah, I mean, I have that Fuji digital camera now, and now that is just what I would do, not look at it myself. I know how to expose, not do that. But in the developmental part, also,
I wonder if
I can't.
Back then, digital cameras were a little newer, and so it was more of a novelty of we can see, let's look at it. And now it's okay.
And then
Plus,
it just snowballed into
appreciate editing
everything.
more now.
I love shooting the old cameras. I love loading film. I love not seeing my work I love everything about it. I mean, it's just I love every aspect of film.
So what's your least favorite part of film?
Especially the cost.
The cost.
The cost,
by far. I used to joke that it wasn't even that much more expensive, because if you're buying a new digital camera every 2 years and I was buying rolls of film for $2, it's well, it's really not that bad. And now that it's astronomically expensive, it's just so unfortunate.
So Daniel and I were talking, and this might be an interesting tie-in because you and I had a lot of fun generative filling the expansion of your film photos.
Yeah.
We were talking in another episode, and I mentioned at some point how most photographers, unfortunately, I think, are going to have to literally start saying as a statement in their bio or in a caption or somewhere, this is a real photo. This is not AI, hashtag not AI, or something like that. And not even because somebody is against or anti-AI, but just simply because I could see it being popular enough, given enough time, that most people, because it's easier and cheaper, will just generate AI photography and call themselves photographers or what have you. And I could see, especially in the next decade or an entire generation growing up with that as the thing that's always existed, as it being the assumption that, this is probably AI generated. And so photographers will actually have to do the work of saying, oh no, this is actually just a photo. But film photographers, I think, are in a special place where they can benefit from only having to say exactly what they already do say. Film photographer, because I think there's a built-in assumption that
there is some
there's no
physical
AI
product that
aspect to
exists
it,
here.
which could be really wonderful and could increase the value of what film photographers do even more. However, one thing I've always been a little annoyed about is the fact that, at least in the wedding world, most people brand themselves as film photographers purely so they can charge more, because there's a perception of expense and more skill necessary, blah, blah, blah. But they don't actually shoot most of the wedding day on film. They'll do it and then swap to a digital, especially for the really tricky stuff, which is a lot of the important moments, during the reception and whatnot, where you might actually want that to be on film, but nobody does. They'll do a few choice portraits and then boom, right back to their Sony digital or something like that.
I really love your positivity in the idea that AI is going to be with us in a few years, and it's going to not just be a passing fad that disappears pretty close to overnight in, like 6 months.
I mean, I already went through one of those interactions. I posted a photo of a car and got a DM from a follower being like, man, I've loved your stuff forever, you know that. And I just got to say, it's like pretty disappointing to see someone how I view you starting to participate in this AI imagery. And I wrote back, I was like, oh, that's not. I took that. That's me. That's my work.
I'll try and find that image here.
They weren't like combative. They weren't like, I don't believe you. But he wrote back like, oh, seriously? I mean, I really thought it was. And I had the thought of like, wow, this is just the like canary in the coal mine of like, you need a behind the scenes video of you doing every shot you do to respond to the like, not that this person was being hostile, but just to respond to the like, no, seriously, I made it.
It is so grim that to prove the authenticity of the thing you're making, you have to create more content around the photo.
But is there a next step? Can we ask AI to generate fake video footage of us actually making the image we really made?
Maybe, if we're lucky. Or
probably
we can just let it go. It's going to be gone,
let it
guys.
go.
It's not...
Well, I'm not so sure anymore. I know the major tools that are essentially free and just BC backed are... Here's the photo. I found it. Hold on. Let me...
Oh, you guys share the video from the podcast?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I didn't understand that.
Yeah,
Great.
it'll be on Sam's YouTube
I should stop picking my nose quite so much.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Go with what you
Wow,
feel.
yeah, it's disgusting.
All right, here it is.
Yeah, someone thought that was fake.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can see it. Like,
It
that's
does
kind of
look
the
fake.
smooth AI thing that's going on.
It's not even that. It's the medium, like AI. One of the appealing aspects of the look that Midjourney leans into specifically is that medium format, wider field of view, shallower depth of field. And when you have full body objects, especially things that you have a mental kind of standard model in your head of what bokeh looks like relative to a car in a scene or a person standing, like their full body in a scene, that is where medium format, that look that people talk about, I think really hits its stride. And Midjourney does that in its output of prompts, which is, I think, something a lot of people who aren't photographers wouldn't even know why they like what the Midjourney look is. Of course, it's to do with lighting and everything else, but that specific combination and look, people just aren't used to seeing because medium format doesn't exist in the way it does in the film world. Even today, there are no medium format sensors that are truly medium format sized.
Oh, even close.
Not
I mean, even
close.
the X100S is like, doesn't even approach my
quarter of the
Pentax
sensor
6.7.
size. Yeah. Oh my God, it's not even a quarter of that. Yeah. It's true.
One of the things that I saw earlier this week about someone describing AI images and why people are having so much fun with them that made me both accept it a little more and feel overwhelming sadness was describing that it's giving people for the first time in a long time, folks who haven't had any form of a creative outlet, that little hit that you get when you make something creative, right? You do a little creativity. You take your creativity pill, and then you go, ooh, that feels nice, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Except it's not it's like the emptiest of calorie version of that, right?
That is a beautiful way to put it.
It's just so, and I don't want to take away from that feeling, and which is why one of the reasons that I feel like people get defensive about AI being taken seriously and why these images are important, whatever. And it's like, no, they're really not. Like they can be important to you, but like the images that you are making or that you are asking a computer to make for you aren't, changing
I've
the world.
actively not, even though Facebook would like this to be not true, given my Explore feed, I've actively not followed and kept up with any particular like AI photographers. It's really sad to see that so many actual photographers are just using it. And it's like, gosh, we're the ones that I think have the biggest responsibility to at least be excessively transparent if it's going to be like a shift where your feed is 100% AI now. So many people are just suddenly wow, you got a lot better with no insight to like the fact that it's not a photo. But where I think I would love to see someone's evolution and process in the prompt writing. I do think there's, a creative moment happening there. And if you had a reference of what this person had used for one image, and then you see what they're using now, and you could see the evolution of their writing of prompts, that I think is a genuine bit of art happening. It's still not that interesting, but there is
I'm not wild about the word genuine there, but it's like if you buy a draw in the lines, a color in the lines, color by numbers book, right? Mm-hmm. Did you make the cat, right? Like you get to choose.
Fair point.
You get to choose which color that you're actually using. If you have my dad, he was recommended by one of his doctors for like a stress thing to just do color by numbers, like coloring books as like you need to. He was like getting his doctorate in communications and was teaching college classes while taking doctorate classes while running a business, and was just stressed all the time. So he had to like
get a coloring book,
literally like get a coloring book, or we're putting you on like, Lexapro, like take your pick. And as he started to do the coloring, he was like, this is really wonderful. It's hitting all the stuff, right? Like it's hitting the creativity stuff. It makes me feel good. It puts, relaxes my brain in the way that it's supposed to. But it's also, he's like, but I also understand I'm just drawing my dumb little pictures, right? Like these aren't mine. I'm not, there's creativity in the color selection. There's creativity in the word selection, but it's not, the output, the end point is not a creative work.
It's a great comparison.
It's an exercise.
It is sort of the coloring book of photography.
I don't feel very wrapped up in feeling like angry about AI at all. I guess I'm more interested in what it's going to produce out of artists that I already admire. Because it seems so inevitable, that I don't have the energy to be like, this is bad when a tidal wave of it is coming. I think I'm just trying to hold on to the hope of the reactionary movement to this is going to inherently produce things I find really, really beautiful. Like getting really personal, really lo-fi, really what can we do in this constrained, real environment, even if we're going to have to prove that it was real, like I was saying, like here's the behind-the-scenes footage of how this really beautiful human interaction went down that was so simple but so beautiful that it produces work like that then at least like nourishes me, because I feel like I'm standing in front of the tsunami of me saying I think it sucks is going to change something. Kind of like how a couple of those A24 movies like sort of culturally came into existence for me. You get a Marvel Cinematic Universe and it's like the budget is $1 trillion and then you get this tsunami of produced content. But then at the same time, like a movie like a Ghost Story comes out that just like rocked my world, and you read about the budget and it's nothing. And the concept is someone's in a child Halloween costume and you just watch how people react to grief, and there's so few set pieces and nothing, it's so simple. And then they even film it in like almost square format and present this very pared down, emotional, straightforward thing. And it was one of my favorite things I'd ever seen. So I'm just hoping that at least I get exposed to some work that people make because they're worried about what AI is doing to perception and art that I end up loving. And hopefully I participate in that. Hopefully I make some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How does your art, when you're making things like, you talked about using it to process trauma and grief of, being raised religious. Same boat. Hello, you and me, buddy. Hooray. We get to spend our entire lives trying to figure out who we are. What a treat.
Yeah, it's a beautiful team, but it's kind of awful.
Yeah. So the, this idea of we're discovering ourselves every day, and like there's a lot of work and effort that goes into forgetting and or leaving a couple of decades of who you were told to be behind, and like figuring out what you're holding on to and what yourself. How, as you have been creating work in that vein for now a long time, what have you noticed coming out of that as like a repeatability? What is what are the things that like get you in a spot to make that? Or is it more just it has to happen when it happens? Right? Like what's the...
Man, that's hard to answer concisely, but I'll do my best.
Fine. It's a podcast. We can talk for hours, man.
No.
Sam does not have that we can talk for hours look on his face. I've come to understand the Sam facial expressions.
It's all good.
The hard revelations were that initially I thought I really was blazing my own trail. That I was like, now I'm going to choose what I believe, and I'm going to choose how I operate, and I'm going to really, really find myself. And like 5 years in, when I had to like turn around and be like, all right, tell me who you are. And I was basically like, well, I don't believe in God and this salvation and this earn all your forgiveness from your stuff. What I believe now is if someday I can be a good enough photographer, then I'll love myself. And through the achievement of doing this, I'll earn the salvation and glory of being redeemed in the eyes of other. And I was like, oh shit, it's the exact same thing. Yeah. That it's really hard to actually like replace conditioning you got as a child, and I really thought I was doing it, and then turned around and said, oh no, I just word changed everything out of here. And then and that kind of led to another hard revelation. I don't want to just call it a sad experience, because I had so many like good moments along the way and honest pursuits and real conversations. But I really did have this belief of like, if you can get good enough at this and believe it for yourself and make something that would make you feel this, or meet these people, or finally connect to someone in a way that seemed impossible, you're going to feel drastically different inside once you do. And I've been someone who has had some really crazy experiences. Like as a depressed 25-year-old, some of my greatest dreams I could ever write out was like meet the bands that are my favorite bands and get a chance to tell them that they saved my life, and then show them my art, and then they would say, we love your art, will you make art for us? That happened to me. Like I became friends with the band that made me want to be an artist, and then shot 2 album covers, and I met Emmanuel Lubezki, my absolute cinematic hero. Like a lot of my on paper wildest dreams in art came true. Like almost, specifically came true, which I'm not trying to put down, how lucky to have had that experience. But it was a real scary reveal of like, once this happens, you will feel differently inside, like this anxiety and depression and this really hard time being here and navigating the space will ease. And when it didn't, to be honest, it had a huge effect on my motivation to shoot, because while I think I was chasing this false hope, like that I was with religion, You know, I was working really hard to be this Mormon that didn't work out. But the inertia and the social energy and the like what you do because you have to keep going and you have to keep trying actually leads to a ton of beautiful effort and experiences and all this stuff. It just wasn't the end goal you thought you were chasing. And I think there's beauty in that reveal of like, it was never about that. It was about seeing and doing this stuff along the way. But the sad part of it is, I'm the type of person that with that knowledge of like, there's nothing at the end of the rainbow. You just try to see what it feels like. That's hard to keep me motivated. Like I need the like real or metaphorical God or salvation at the end of the thing to scare me into keep going. And then when I don't believe in that, it's harder to adopt that, like, just do it to do it. Just do it to see what happens. So I really struggle with that.
That's surprising, especially given how much you love film. Like, it seems that most film people would be particularly in love with the process, not really even caring about the end result.
Yeah, maybe I haven't
because it is
talked a ton about that. I was really chasing a peak experience of like, I want a shoot so dramatic and so beautiful and so meaningful that when you look at it, like, you won't be able to deny it. And I don't mean for other people, I mean for me. And then I shot my favorite band, and I shot my niece dying, and I shot her funeral, and I had a couple artistic collaborations where I put like everything I could think out there on the line, like the scariest thing, most meaningful thing I could ever do. And then they did it with me. And then I looked at the work and was like, oh my God, it's even better than I hoped it would be. Like, I was hitting really, really peak experiences of dramatic nature. And I was sure at the end of those, I was going to be less depressed. And when I wasn't, it really, like, the come down was really hard. Like, well, I don't even want to shoot anymore, kind of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Depression, man.
Have you ever tried something not photography to, express yourself and achieve sort of a similar feeling?
Basically, the only other thing I would say that is a yes to that is still tied to photography. I had no idea I loved public speaking so much until photography conferences asked me to come present about my work. That was never really on my radar of like, I like having to say, I was a shy kid. Like, I had panic attacks about presentations in school and stuff. But I always, just like everybody, I just wish I was a rock star. I wish I could just have my work be this thing I got up and did in front of people and they did it back to me, that was the exchange. And when I got like a tiny taste of that, of like being on stage and being like, this is my work, and I like showing it to you more like this than I would it being in a gallery and me quietly watching people watch it. I love presenting it.
Yeah, that does seem like a better fit for the thing you're describing as well, because there technically is no thing at the end of that, no tangible thing. Like, I mean, emotionally, yes, and the people that you would talk to afterward, yes, but I would think for your brain it would be nice to well, what you kept describing in photography was, here's this piece of work that is enabling this final level feeling of, this is the best I can do with a talk. It's always so different and interesting and an evolution that I wouldn't think you would ever expect that at the end. I mean, but I don't know how you feel after talking, other than probably very drained, because they're very
drained, but I love it. I've said that to other, we've been at conferences together and stuff, and people are like, oh, wow, like one of these a year just kind of maxes out the need of this for me. And I have the thing of like, I wish we could go on tour. I could do this twice a week for months at a time, because I love making the work. And for a while, Instagram and Facebook was this beautiful place to share it because everyone saw it. And then I'd be like, I'm in Rome tonight. And the feed was chronological and the response would be immediate. And then I'd go meet up with someone 45 minutes later after saying where I was. But when the usefulness of social media fell off dramatically, I just had this like, I want to work on a series and not just like, here it is, it's on my website or it's on my Patreon or it's on my Twitter, like trying to get the interaction over a screen. I have this like, I wish I could put on a presentation of my work weekly.
But your talks when you public speak are typically the same. They slowly evolve. You don't ever completely start from zero and
You know, to me that kind of like gets into the like, when you're a band that's been a band for 20 years, do you play the hits because 50% of the people in the audience have never seen you and you want to make sure you give this core experience? If I was doing something more like what I was describing, you know, like, hey, I'm doing 4 of these a month, I like to think I would dramatically narrow in on a topic, or, you know, it be about a different thing. I find it really hard to fully switch it up when people are hearing me for the first time, because I always have this like, well, I made the talk like this because these are the most important things to me.
Yeah.
Shut up and play the hits. You know what? Just here. Sorry, I don't mean to talk over you now, but good. You actually, it's rare a podcast gets me actually thinking, you know, and not just what we're just talking about. Every podcast is the same 15 questions, and I haven't really thought about this. The problem, just hearing me say it to you, I was like, I should do that. You know, I should have a platform where once a month I get on and be like, here, you know, for better, for worse, maybe people will show up or pay for it or not, but this is what I wish I was doing. So
that's
here's
exactly what I was
20 images I made this month, and I'm going to get online and talk about them for 3 hours, and maybe it'll look really self-indulgent, but this is how I wish I was doing it. The whole problem is just I can't make myself do it alone. That if no one's in the room, I'm like, what's the point?
Well, hey, great news. I'll be your co-host. I'll be your
nice.
Be your little guide. Yeah. That's how I get you. I get you on a little call, and then suddenly we're best friends. We have a podcast together. You move in down the road. See, that's what happened with Sam and I. Chit-chatted once, and now we live in the same city. I'm cooking him food. I'm stealing his cameras. It's all fun and games.
I'm glad there's video, because Sam's reactions to all this, while very subtle, are poignant.
He's texting someone.
No, I really do appreciate that. That's good to like at least hear myself say out loud that when you know you wish you were doing something differently than how you are.
Did your peak of having those experiences of like really nailing the career goals that you were looking after and that not paying off the way that you thought it would?
I wouldn't call them career goals, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, creative goals that just happen to be the thing that, you know, you make money from sometimes.
That's a great description of me.
Did that same fall come with the decline of the usefulness of your social channels? Like what? Because I know that has been a...
Oh yeah, it spiraled. As soon as it stopped working as well, I stopped wanting to use it. And then I got very, very combative about it too. Like all the time I find myself now like, why try to post at the right time of day in a way that's going to do well? Because if it doesn't, I'm going to get so mad. So I'm going to post some XPan image that's horribly formatted for the platform at an awful time of day, just so I don't ever even have the expectation that this is going to go well. And, you know, that's not helpful thinking. I just mean I've gotten very like resentful and combative about the platforms.
Yeah. How has that
impacted... And as a
impacted...
tip to your viewers, I paid for 3 months of Meta verified for Facebook and Instagram, and it's absolutely useless. 100%.
No.
I even used the personalized customer support, you know, like a human being will answer your inquiries. And I said, my account's flagged for sharing something from Playboy that is a post you allow up. What is up with that? Or there's all these story features I can't use. Why? And I went through an hour of their customer support, and then they finally said, you know, we don't really know how to solve these. Just use the customer support channel that's open to everyone. I was like,
nice.
Got it. This product is absolutely valueless.
Glad
So
he
there's
paid
a little
for that.
tip for your listeners.
That's
I was
nice.
just curious. You know, if you were paying for reaching people again, I would do it, but you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did a little estimate of what it would cost for Ryan to boost a post and reach the same number of people that he has followers, and it was about $1,000 for one.
Oh no,
post.
it was way more than that. I thought it was like $9,000.
No, it was $1,000, but just for one post. Yeah.
Oh, right.
One
So $30,000 a month.
Yeah.
Easy
You
breezy.
post every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do a little dance. You'll be fine.
Sadly, they're good. Yeah.
How,
It shocks me that these platforms haven't done an average of how much anybody's ever spent, and then realized some people are never going to spend any money because they don't have it or will never want to promote their own work. Like, give them back some reach, so at least they continue to add
So they don't
value to
quit
the platform.
your platform.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's so weird.
Like
I mean, I can.
Facebook at one point in time had so much of my attention, and so many people were on my page looking at all the ads they used there, and then they killed it to such a degree, I just said, oh, fuck it, like, I'll just never come back here.
Yeah.
Like, how is that in their interest?
Well, I mean, the legitimate answer is they just don't care, right? Like,
Right. My
they're
data
enough-
in starting civil wars is worth more than whatever was going on there.
Yeah, bingo, right? Like,
Pretty much.
literally. Yes.
Don't depress me too much.
As
okay.
well, you know, that has been going on for a while now, right? You know that your issues with meta platforms are well versed across the internet. How have you been able to start pulling yourself out of that? Have you how has rediscovering your creativity through through the age of algorithm bullshit been? Like, how's it working, right?
It's been a real rough few years. The pandemic wiped out so much social momentum I had. A lot of my keeping myself okay was I had all these conferences and a bunch of workshops, and once a month I was out doing a thing, and then I didn't do anything for a year and a half. And most of the small conferences that I was speaking at that kept me marginally going went away. There were years where I spoke at 6 or 7 or in 1 year, and those are basically gone.
That was also part of just there was a boom once people figured out a standard model for how a workshop or a conference could run. There was just clones and clones of conference after conference for a little while there.
I mean, it
while
makes sense.
everybody
It busted and went away. Yeah, not great.
You haven't found another platform, and you tried Patreon for a little while, but I can't remember really the hang up, other than I know it's always tough to introduce a new place to have to be proactively thinking about posting. It's never easy. Was that the major issue, or was it more just the money exchange side? I can't really recall.
It was really stupid on my part. My Patreon was almost up to close to $1,000 a month at one point, which would have been a massive quality of life difference for me over the last few years. And it was I really struggle with taking money, but I also had this absolute infantile idiocy of that Instagram wouldn't get worse. Because there was a time when I'd make a point of doing these live print sell videos where I'd get a bottle of scotch and some friends, and I'd just get on and be like, I'm going to print images for people and they're cheaper tonight. And it will ring a bell every time I sell a print, and I'll throw in extras and just fun. And if I really planned it out well, there were nights I made over $2,000 on Instagram live videos, just having a fun time doing a Q&A and prints. Because when I went live, 300 people would be on the call at any one point. And now when I go live, it's between 20 and 30. So I had this idiocy of well, when you really need it and you finally scrape your depression together to announce a print sale or a workshop, you're never going to be rich. It's not an impressive amount of money, whatever, but the reach is there to really save yourself every time you need to. And I'm so bad at regularly doing things. I just give up on stuff all the time that it just felt like I'm gonna let the Patreon audience down anyway. Like it's fine if I just do 4 workshops a year and 3 conferences and a print sale every other month. Like that's it's okay. And then that going away has been oh, you really fucked up.
Got it. Yeah, it is a struggle though. Like I often fight internally with I haven't posted in a week or 2. People
how
are going to leave.
How do you do it, Sam? Literally, how do you do it?
That's a way better question. When I get on and there's a new lens review and it's 30 paragraphs with videos and motion capture stuff, I'm astounded that you can make yourself do that alone.
I have all my robots.
Oh, yes, sure. You have some robots, but also you don't, right? You recently gained access to robots. You have been doing this for years pretty consistently. Just take the compliment and answer the question.
Well, I don't feel like I actually do enough. I don't feel like I post on Patreon enough in terms of high value content. I could do a lot more. I have a huge giant list. And the frequency that I do something of insane depth, like a full length lens review or camera body review, is fairly infrequent. I mean, it's not once a month, not even close. I have a huge backlog of what I've been needing to do. A lot of it's little nuggets and bits of things, or little 10-minute videos, which do take a couple hours to put together sometimes, for sure. There is the nag, which I like. I like the pressure. I actually am annoyed that for years it's been gone. You used to get an email when somebody would unpledge from your Patreon. And I've never taken it personally as oh, they hate me, or, I hope whatever. People just come and go because of all kinds of reasons. But I would develop a pulse of, ooh, okay, so I had somebody unpledge, that's fine. But it's been 3 days since the last person. I've had 5 new people, so it's fine. But really paying attention when people would leave and feeling out that, oh, I got 4 unpledges today. That's a lot. I need to get something up. Having that feedback loop is insanely beneficial. Now it's gone. So it is actually a little bit more of this just background thought all the time of I need to post something on Patreon, and it's not an I don't enjoy doing it. It's just I don't know. It's a weird balance, but there's accountability there. It's so nice to have financial accountability as a creative person. I have that obviously for my wedding clients, but there's zero accountability to ever post on Instagram. I just do that because I want to share my work. But I can do that whenever and how often ever I want to. Patreon is different, because there's money involved. But I don't know exactly what you're asking in the question of how I do it. I just do.
You're a willpower machine. It's really impressive.
Yeah. A lot of it is, I was very early in the process, and things I was doing essentially for free anyway, like a lens review or a bag review or what's in my bag. Now, even when I started to just make a few $100s, realizing that I can now make a few $100s from this. This is the greatest feeling ever. I just try not to lose sight of that for sure. It's a good way to go. But the trade-off has been, I think, a little too strong in the gated walled garden of Patreon and not growing there's 400 posts in that back catalog now. The vast majority of them will never see the light of day because now they're out of date or I've forgotten about it and I'm not going to go through it. And I needed there's a fantastic model, I think, by a guy that runs Stratechery where he does once a week a really the big meat and bones post is free for everyone. And the daily posts in between, which are sometimes incredibly insightful and really deep or whatever, but are generally shorter, but way more frequent, those you pay for. And I love that model.
I like that too.
Yeah, it gives a chance for the big thing to go have a little more virality behind it, and people that then want to really see the development of the thought or the idea to eventually come to, a conclusion, maybe, or not, whatever. But you see all the inner bits in between those big posts that you pay for. That makes a lot of sense.
How can we give Ryan some of your willpower? Can we bottle that? Make it a little tonic or something?
Do blood transfusions do it? If Sam was my blood boy?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Blood
I don't
boy.
think we
How much
are.
is... What level on Sam's Patreon gets you a liter of his blood?
The $1,000 tier. That would be fun.
That's the wedding
it?
client referral tier. Also comes with some blood if you need it.
$1,000. That's nice. Donate blood, everyone. Shout out to the Red
Blood.
Cross for finally updating, or the FDA, whoever it was, finally updated that bi and gay men can donate blood.
All
Everybody, woo!
Nice.
I can donate blood for
Popcorn's
the
here.
first
It's his
time in
dinner
my
time.
life. Let's do it.
I can't because I don't meet the weight requirement.
Oh no! I can give you some of my weight. I don't think.
True story.
It's Popcorn's dinner time.
Okay, it's our dinner time.
Yeah.
I'm getting hangry. Baltimore absolutely ruined my day by sneaking bacon into my potato pancake this morning. Ruined my whole day. Until
So
now, when you
bizarre.
guys saved it.
Why ever would they add bacon to a veggie potato pancake?
We're gonna,
And then made jokes about it after. I was like, man, you're lucky I'm not the type of customer that just flips out.
You should
Because
leave
it's
a
like
negative review,
pretty
though.
serious to some people, like me. But I was still polite about it. But as I left, they were like, sorry about death by bacon.
Well, let's get you a better food experience for the day. You deserve it.
Johnny Rads it is.
Johnny Rat.
It's a good thing these go up days later, or we might have fans stalk us and meet us there. This was
Whoa. I'm open to being stalked. They all know what Sam's address is, 459 Durilla Street.
Damn it, Ryan.
Damn it.
Well, I appreciate both of you. So,
You too.
Thanks for coming.
It was a good chat.
We'll bring you back again once you've processed a little bit more of your religious trauma or something. Well,
Fantastic.
you've finally discovered how you hate, you're the man who kills an algorithm or something, like the man who goes up to kill God, something. Who can say what you're going to do? But we'll
I do hope to see more of your work on glass because
I glassed
once you develop, I know you did, and
just
once you
today.
develop the habit of posting and checking, and you start to get other people, actually following you and interacting with your work.
I'll feature you this week. It'll be like
When I post on glass, I call it glass blasting.
When you glass blast this over the next week, I will also blast to glass your glass blasts.
It's too much blasting going on here. All right, guys. See you soon for dinner. Appreciate you all.
Appreciate you.
I
And,
appreciate you.
1,